He reeked of sweat, sin, and smoke, yet even the royal women lined up just to touch his hand. Was it his charm? Grigori Rasputin wasn't born with power. He dragged it out of the dirt. In 1869, in the frozen abyss of Siberia, a boy with haunted eyes and filthy hands wandered barefoot through the snow. Peasant, illiterate, possessed. That's how villagers described him. As a teenager, Rasputin stumbled into a bizarre religious cult, the Khlysty. Their belief? You had to sin hard to feel God's love. So he did. He drank, he danced, he had sex like it was sacred, and soon he started calling himself a holy man, a starets, a prophet, a redeemer. The line between madness and divinity blurred. But women followed. They weren't forced, they just craved his presence. A farmer's son with a rotting beard, no money and dirt under every nail, yet they saw him as a bridge to God. He married young, had 4 kids with a wife who never complained, even when he vanished for months, slept with everyone, and returned smelling like dung. She called it her divine duty. How do you compete with that kind of loyalty? Rasputin wandered across Russia, on foot, through deserts, over icy mountains, to Jerusalem, to Greece. He begged for food, slept in stables, and whispered his name into holy walls. But word had already arrived before him by the time he arrived at St. Petersburg in 1903. A mad monk with healing hands and hypnotic eyes. He looked like a homeless man. But the rich, they couldn't look away. Then came the Tsar. In 1905, Rasputin entered the royal palace. The Tsarina's son, Alexei, was dying from hemophilia, an incurable blood disease. Doctors failed, science gave up. But Rasputin walked in, whispered prayers, and the bleeding stopped. Was it hypnosis? A coincidence? Black magic? What was it? No one knows. But to Tsarina Alexandra, Rasputin had just saved her soul. And once a mother believes you're divine, you're untouchable. From that day, Rasputin became the real power behind the throne. But he didn't change. He drank until dawn. He groped women in public. He muttered blasphemies and called it holiness. And somehow, this made women love him more. Some sent him nude sketches. Some mailed their hair. Others waited outside his shack, trembling just to hear a word. He would say, "Sin with me and God will love you more." It was insane. It was irresistible. And women just followed. He wasn't seductive. He was possessed, maybe. Greasy beard, reeking robes, a stench that made people gag. But his stare? Hypnotic. His silence? Heavy. He didn't need to perform. He captivated all wherever he went. "You're different," he'd whisper. "God chose you." That line shattered empires. Princess or peasant, it didn't matter. They all believed they were the chosen one. By 1915, with the Tsar off to war, Rasputin ruled the empire through whispers. He picked government ministers, dismissed generals. He held the empress in his palm. The nobles were furious. The clergy was terrified. But the women in power? They protected him like a messiah, and that made him dangerous. In December 1916, his enemies made their move. They lured him to a mansion, gave him poisoned cakes. He laughed. No effect. They shot him in the chest. He stood up. They shot him again. Still breathing. In panic, they wrapped him in chains and tossed him into the frozen river. When his body was found, his lungs were filled with water. He hadn't died from the poison or the bullets. He drowned trying to escape. Even in death, Rasputin wouldn't go quietly. Rasputin didn't wield swords or armies. He didn't need wealth or war. He used chaos. He fed on belief. And he proved one brutal truth. Sometimes the most dangerous man in the room is the one who says nothing at all. What's your perception about Rasputin? Let us know in the comments section and watch the playlist for more interesting stories. Give it a try.